Hello, I'm Dr. Ross Walker and welcome to the Checkup. Hello, Dr. Ross Walker and welcome to the Checkup. I speak often about the vital importance of nutrition. I believe that nutrition is the third most important drug on the planet, eating less food, eating more natural food. So I want to talk over the next couple of weeks about the foods that harm and then finish up with the foods that heal. So firstly, what is bad for you? Well, it's pretty easy and pretty simple, really. Keep away from the middle bits of the supermarket. Anything in a box or a container with processed packaged muck masquerading as food just isn't good for you. So any processed foods and what I call white death. White death is sugar, white bread, pasta, potatoes, and to a lesser extent rice. I'm not saying to you don't ever eat this stuff. I'm just saying don't make it as the central part of what you do eat, because these things have so many problems with it. So I'll give you some examples now. Firstly, processed meat. So if you enjoy an egg and bacon roll occasionally on the weekend, it's not going to hurt you. But people who have, say for example, one rasher of bacon per day, that's about 25 grams of processed meat per day, have a 44% increased risk for dementia just by doing that. 44% increased risk just by having some processed meats every day, salamis, Devons, all of these sort of things. And it's felt, the reason for the dementia is felt that the nitrites, which are there to cure the processed meats, to make them in their hardest state that they're in, the nitrites are the things that may increase the risk for dementia. So firstly, try to minimize your intakes of processed meats from a thinking viewpoint. But what about other risks from processed meats? This study called the PURE study, which has been the biggest study of nutrition all over the world. Up to now, it's done about 220,000 people for 16 years follow-up in over 50 countries. So this one subset of the PURE study looked at about 136,000 people for about a 9-year follow-up and in 21 different countries, and looked at people who had more than 150 grams of processed meat per week. So that's regularly having processed meats every day with your sandwiches and maybe the egg and bacon roll that I mentioned before, the bacon and eggs on the weekend. But people who do that on a regular daily basis, as opposed to people who don't do it at all or hardly ever do it, there was a 46% increased risk for cardiovascular disease and a 51% increased risk for death by the processed meats. But for all of those who do enjoy a little bit of meat, I mean, we'll have the vegetarians come out and throwing things at us, but if you do enjoy a little bit of meat, this showed that there was no link between unprocessed meat, so just natural meats, lean meat or poultry or whatever, no risk, no link at all between that and cardiovascular disease and death. And in fact, in the largest trial, the 220,000 people that I mentioned before over 16 years, it showed that if you had 100 grams a day of red meat and three servings of high-fat dairy, so 3 cups of coffee a day or some milk on your Weet-Bix in the morning or whatever, so 3 servings of high-fat dairy, 100 grams of processed meat per day, 25% reduction in heart disease and death just by doing that. So that's part of what's bad for you as far as the processed meats goes, but the unprocessed meats, no evidence that they're doing you any harm in low doses. That's the checkup.